What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie that I've been really looking forward to watch. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to check this out in the theater, so I had to wait till it became available on VOD. But I wanted to watch this movie for a couple of reasons. For starters, I grew up with Saturday Night Live. It was really one of my early introductions into comedy. My parents really liked watching old episodes of SNL. So, like, the cast in this movie, and obviously moving forward up until like the Will Ferrell era, was really big in my youth. And I watched a lot of those sketches on repeat, and I just really enjoyed that show overall. And when I heard the concept of this movie and people like portraying some of these actors that I was really fond of when I was growing up, I was really looking forward to it. And secondly, this is directed by Jason Reitman, who throughout his career has made some really incredible movies. And so because of that, I was really looking forward to seeing what he would do here. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is Saturday Night. Saturday Night is directed by Jason Reitman. At 11:30 p.m. on October 11th, 1975, a ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers changed television forever. This is a story of what happened behind the scenes in the 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live. So I was really excited to watch this movie, and I'm happy to report it was very entertaining. Most of what makes this movie so special is really the incredible performances and the way that these actors portray these comedy legends. I was really surprised at just how dedicated a lot of these performances are, and just like how much these actors like nailed mannerisms and vocal patterns and just like bodily movement and everything. It was very, very impressive. And for like an hour and 40-minute movie, the pacing is really solid. I feel like the movie, it keeps a very like chaotic and anxiety inducing feeling from the start until the finish. And I'm really looking forward to telling you about it today. So the plot description really is that simply. We're seeing the very first ever attempt at Saturday Night Live. And when Lorne Michaels came up with the show, brought it to NBC, and everybody at NBC thought that it was going to be a failure. No one thought that a bunch of 20-something-year-old comedians were going to be able to go in and do an hour and a half live television show with no issues whatsoever. And so we're following mostly the central focal point of the movie is Lorne Michaels, and we're seeing him throughout the night, and everything that could go wrong is going wrong. Whether it be John Belushi doesn't want to sign his contract, lighting equipment is falling down, people want Lorne to go meet with all these executives, their lighting guy ends up quitting, just like every single possible horrible thing that you can think of happens. And it's all about Lorne doing everything that he can to try to persevere and make the show go live on air by 11:30. So like I said, I really enjoyed this a lot. And for starters, I want to talk about the performances. I was just completely and totally floored by some of the performances in this movie. And it's going to be hard to go person to person and talk about every single performance because I would make a 30-minute long video just praising everyone. But I want to point out a couple of performances in particular. Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase is probably one of the most impressive performances I've seen in quite some time. Not only does he just nail Chevy Chase's like vocal patterns and just like the way he moves and commands the screen, but like I watched an interview with the actor and I thought it was really interesting about how he said that he studied Chevy Chase in the way that he talks outside of the show and when he's kind of playing Chevy Chase on TV. And I think that the way that he kind of flips between that when he's trying to like do comedy for people and then talk behind the scenes, it was just really impressive to watch him just kind of shift immediately. And he nailed Chevy Chase's impersonation perfectly. I was so impressed with him. Cooper Hoffman, who played Dick Ebersol in this movie, I loved him in Licorice Pizza. I think he is such a talented actor. And in this movie, there were a couple of times that he looked so much like his dad in the way that he just like delivered dialogue and the way that he commanded the screen. And it made my heart smile. I'm not going to lie. Philip Seymour Hoffman's one of my favorite actors of all time. His work means the world to me. And to see his son come out and just give these powerhouse performances, it's really exciting to see. And I hope he gets a lot of work in the future because he is phenomenal in this. Rachel Sennett, I want to talk about her. She is incredible in this movie as well. I just feel like she's such a talented actress and she deserves all the credit that she gets for these roles that she's playing. Dylan O'Brien was also a really great Dan Aykroyd. I did not know what to expect with his performance, but I feel like even though he didn't necessarily look a ton like Dan, he really nailed the mannerisms and the inflection in his voice, and I really just loved his performance a lot. Nicholas Braun played both Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson in this movie, and he nailed both roles. I thought that he was fantastic. And like I said, I could go through every one of these actors and actresses. Ella Hunt's Gilda Radner was great. I mean, just everybody in this movie embodied their characters perfectly, and it just felt like watching people try to do a reimagining of Saturday Night Live, which is what I really appreciated about it. I loved the way this movie was shot. There were moments that just felt like it was a continuous one take, which made it much more anxiety inducing while you're watching Lorne Michaels like just essentially have a meltdown trying to hold it together while also getting this show on air. And there's a lot of handheld camera movement because they're running from place to place. And I think that that chaotic nature is what makes the movie so easy to invest yourself in and enjoy. It's pretty well paced out for the most part. There were a couple of moments that I feel like were a little repetitive that they could have trimmed down or done something different with, but that's a pretty minimal critique as far as the pacing is concerned. I also don't necessarily think the anxiety of the movie works totally because we already know what happens. Saturday Night Live is a global sensation. It's a television show that has been widely renowned for years and years and years now. And so there's not really any anxiety of will they do it, because of course they did. But I think if you go in and you kind of go in with the mindset of just being along the ride with these characters, it's easy to invest yourself in. But more than the anxiety element of the movie, what I appreciated was these young comedians coming together to try to make something new that would eventually revolutionize television. And I think as a creator, it's often difficult and disheartening to try to come up with a concept and think there's no way possible that I'm ever going to make this work. And what I like so much about this movie is it kind of shows just how difficult it is to get to that point. How much of this is historically accurate to what actually happened, I don't really know. But honestly, I think what the movie's going for, it doesn't really matter. I think the whole like banding together and the community element of it, and just seeing these people who are so well respected and loved over the years, and what they had to do to kind of come together to make this work. I think that's what makes it so enjoyable. If you don't have any knowledge of SNL or these characters, I don't necessarily know whether or not this movie will work well for you, because I think there's something about the attachment to these people. If you grew up with them, if you know something about their comedy, I think it'll work more for you. But I do think it's a very effective, well-made, entertaining, and enjoyable experience. Have you seen Saturday Night? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was wildly entertaining. I really enjoyed myself, and honestly, I'm looking forward to watching it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.